So welcome everyone. My name is Lara Waldman. I am the Abundance Activator, helping you to manifest more money into your life and your business in alignment with your soul's purpose. And today I have the great honor of welcoming to Lysa Black. She is the Empress. Lysa is a beautiful, beautiful friend of mine who has incredible gifts. She is a heart healer. She's a deeply sensitive empath who can read hearts. She knows exactly what you need, what healing you need in order for you to rise up into your full purpose. She works with really sensitive, empathic women to help them really deep dive into their core wounds, to help them manifest the life that they truly desire. It's absolutely gorgeous work. And Lysa's also the author of 2 books, and she's recently birthed her 2nd book, which is Divine Purpose, 13 Principles to Ascension. And they're gorgeous. I've had a chance to dip into them. So welcome, Lysa. It's such a great pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you, glorious Lara. I'm so excited for this conversation and so grateful to be with you, darling.
Oh, me too. So Lysa and I were working together. Lysa was helping me with some of my heart healing. And what came really clear, and what's become really, really clear, are these things called mother-father wounds. And we've been having conversations about how our mother and father wounds are connected to our financial abundance. So I've wanted to interview Lysa so that you can hear her wisdom on heart healing and how this can help you bring in more abundance into your life, in all areas of your life, but particularly we're going to be speaking about financial abundance today.
Oh, this is gorgeous. And just knowing that this conversation was coming up, I've just been buzzing because I think there's so many people that have experienced the mother wound and the father wound that don't know anything about it. So let's clarify that just here. It's really exciting to know that all of us have unmet emotional needs from our upbringing, no matter how wonderful or how really not nice our relationship was with our mum and our dad. All of us as humans are incapable of perfectly providing for every need for our children. That is a part of humanity. It's a part of the duality of this experience, the contrast that we're creating. But I had an experience with my mum where she is so loving and so generous, but I just could not perceive it. And we really felt quite unloved by one another. And so I walked out of my upbringing really feeling deeply unlovable and unacceptable. And so when you feel that way, it just infiltrates every experience. It was affecting my relationship with men, but my relationship with money. I never had enough money. I didn't feel good enough for the money that I had. And it kind of felt like there was no amount of money that was going to be able to hit that need. So what is really interesting with the mother wound is that every woman will have this to some degree. And there's 2 things that are really important for us to do in healing the mother wound. And one is to be able to look at our own unmet needs. So I personally didn't feel heard, acknowledged, and recognized. So, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, where is the mother wound showing up for me? Really think about what are the 3 things off the top of your head that you really felt like you left the home and it just wasn't hit for you. What about you, Lara? Like, I'm just thinking about some of the powerful conversations that we've had, and I can't help but go, what were the 3 things for you, sweetheart?
Well, yeah. So again, some of it's sort of based on how your upbringing is. It may not be overtly obvious, but for me, I really felt unseen growing up, unlovable, and that there was something fundamentally wrong about me. It was like I was dark or bad. Yeah. And there was some feeling that I just wasn't seen or loved by my parents. Now, of course, they loved me. If they heard this, they'd be quite devastated. But that's really how I felt. And it's had a huge, huge impact on how I show up in the world. And the ease with which I allow my life to flow. So it's been a big, big journey for me working through this stuff. And it's amazing how much it affects us as well, I think.
I think what's really interesting is even hearing you beautifully describe the word flow is that we so much equate money and finances to fulfilling our needs. And when we don't feel there's a way to fulfill our emotional needs, it tends to be reflected back in money. So everything's a reflection, but money is also a very powerful reflection of our internal state. And for me, that's why healing the mother wound is so, so crucial, is that unless we can really feel like we can receive those things, it doesn't even matter how much money there is anyway. If you can't have that fulfilled, no amount is going to hit it anyway. As we make fulfilling those emotional needs our priority and prerogative, I have seen in my own life and the lives of the people that I serve and work with that it's reflected every time. And there's something so mystical and magical about it. And so I think we do a lot of work to be able to attract money, but being able to recognize there's this treasure trove of capacity within yourself to reach in and actually give yourself what you're deeply requiring that will manifest externally in every way, but also in financial abundance.
Yeah, that's so, so true. And when you're speaking, what I'm aware of is that you can call in money, you can use all your manifestation tools. But for me, like there was this real core wound of I'm not worthy or I don't deserve it. I'm not lovable. So I couldn't fully bring it in. And actually what I did even before doing this money manifestation stuff was that I just ignored money. I completely turned my back to it. Like, I don't need you, money. This isn't, spiritual, but basically it was a total abandonment of me. I realized because that was what I kind of believed about me, that I wasn't really worthy of that. And then when I worked on trying to bring money in and manifest it, it was like I actually couldn't let it in. It was like it was just hovering on the outside. So it's been this practice of like that deep, deep self-love and self-nurturing and feeling worthy enough that it's okay, that I don't have to struggle anymore, that fight, kind of fighting against life. And it's just so deeply powerful, this work.
It is. And
I think fulfilled on a deep level.
Yes. And you're just reminding me that so much of our perception of a scarcity around money is actually a scarcity around our own capacity to have our needs met. And so we all know that feeling, that feeling, I remember times in my life when I didn't know how we were going to get through the week, and it's this gaping feeling. And if you pay attention to that feeling, it has a connection back to times when we didn't know if we were going to have our emotional needs met. We didn't know if we would be heard, if we would be seen, if we would be acknowledged, recognized, witnessed, loved, embraced, and held in the truth of who we are. And those things, for me, there's two ways to be able to receive these things, and it's intuitively trusting yourself to know which one comes first. With every one of my clients, everyone's different. Everyone needs to be able to, one, receive your own inner child in a way that you can perceive her needs and generously show up as a wise mother and bountifully shower her with that. So acknowledgement and self-recognition are huge for me. I'm like, Lysa, I see you showing up. Babe, I see what you bring. Because I waited for so long for someone else to give me that, and it stifled my life, and it kept me in scarcity, which was reflected in financial scarcity. So I freaking show up, and I will look like a crazy lady, writing to myself in my journal, and I will say those things, but I feel it, and that's all that matters. So for me, it's ongoing work to be able to perceive my little girl's needs and generously show up to just shower her with that. And once she skips off happy as when she gets that good stuff, and then I just see a wave of financial, manifestations show up to confirm. The other way is healing with the Divine Mother. And we had a beautiful session. I just loved it, of allowing ourselves to either guide ourselves or ask someone else to guide us through a beautiful visualization where we can allow the Divine Mother to receive us and hold us. And it's so, so powerful to be able to be in her love, because it's such a deep, all-encompassing love. It actually allows deep rest. Because when we're concerned that our needs won't be met, there's this real fear and worry and work that happens within us. And when she can just come in and hold us like the precious divine babes that we are to her, there's something that happens to us on a soul level where we feel deeply held and nurtured. So I imagine the Divine Mother above me, holding me as I hold my precious little inner child. So, you know what I mean? It's a matter of, do you need to go to your little girl and give to her and then find yourself receiving it, or turn to your beautiful, divine, or loving mother and receive from her and let it flow through you? One of those two tools is what I use for every client, and it's deeply profound when you can shift into the resonance and harmony of true love.
Oh, gorgeous. Yes, it's so powerful. And I use these tools as well. I'm calling on this divine mother energy every day and spending time with my inner child almost every day, because there's little moments where it can flare up, can't it? Like little panics. And what you said was so powerful just a little while ago was when you have that scarcity with money, that it really triggers those core wounds. So that feelings of not feeling safe or abandoned or unsupported or unloved or whatever it is, and that little girl inside just can go into total panic and manifest all sorts of things like anxiety and
some crazy stuff when she's running the show, man. You do crazy stuff. And so it's often when we're transitioning in our life and really up-leveling and expanding that's triggered, because anytime we're entering a new arena, a new frontier for ourselves, she's going to feel concerned that her needs are not going to be met. And so this work is actually pivotal for expansion. Expansion always leads to an increase of wealth. If it's not happening in the right way. That's how it is done. That's why we look to leaders, because they're deeply involved in their own self-expansion, and that's what allows them to hold themselves in the receiving position to let more flow come in towards them.
Yes. Oh, well, absolutely. And I found that every time I expand or up level or take the next step in my life, my business, that little girl goes crazy sometimes. I mean, total mine manifests in like kind of overwhelm or anxiety or panic or not feeling good enough. And it's really intense in those moments.
Yeah.
I think this is where people stop themselves from actually changing their lives, from welcoming more money, because it's so uncomfortable in those moments.
And so this is why we sometimes fear money as well, because we go, if I try to expand into that, I'm going to trigger her. And she's hard enough to handle already. Let's not upset the little girl. Okay, hold the cart. But do you know what I mean? By pushing out that natural, genuine desire to receive more, to placate her, it's not a harmonious, loving position. It's actually keeping her in deprivation. And so this feels like a really good point to actually talk about the father wound, because they really do work in tandem. That the mother wound is around our unmet needs for care, love, and nurture. The father wound is around our unmet needs for safety, protection, and being provided for. So you can feel there, the money stuff gets even more important. Our ability to invest in ourselves and give ourselves what we want will be a natural byproduct of healing the mother wound and providing those needs for yourself. But for the father wound, our capacity to feel safe in our gifts and our sensitivity and our spirituality and our identity come from being able to perceive, what do we need, or what did we needed that was not in generous, ample supply, and how can I show up and offer that to my little self, and how can I turn to the divine father to receive that. And this year for me has been a lot of turning to the divine father, and I developed a relationship with the divine mother sooner, and that has been really strong for me, but I still wasn't feeling safe. I knew that I was loved and cared for, but I didn't feel safe in myself, and I didn't feel safe to receive money. And I just knew that it was the father wound. So really, it's difficult for a woman. And I think this is why sometimes money stuff can manifest for females, sometimes potentially easier, because you have to be able to pull a father from a woman. We have to pull in a father from ourselves. But I deeply believe and know that we can, as we model the wise, loving behavior of our version of a divine, loving father. And the most powerful vision for me was, I imagined myself as a little babe, and I was on his shoulder, and he was just gently tapping my bottom, just soothing me and lulling me in his strength and in his power. And what that did for me was to help me to feel really safe in my vulnerability, because receiving is such an act of being vulnerable. Oh, I just love talking about this. It's so exciting. So once again, it's the same way to heal it, is to be able to offer a sense of safety and protection. And that I made a promise to my little girl, anything you want, sweetheart, I will bring that to you. It's only a matter of time, baby. I'm delivering. Keeping promises with her is something that showed up in my relationship with my father. I couldn't trust him, and that what he said would be delivered. So that left a deep need of not feeling safe and not feeling secure. So being able to keep my promises with her and tell her that she is always safe to be who she is with me, and that I will give her what she needs, and also allowing myself to feel the love from the Divine Father holding me in that beautiful embrace, protecting me, and providing all of the miraculous opportunities that I need to thrive and prosper in the world, being who I am.
Wowee. That's pretty powerful. And we, in our session, this was a really amazing moment for me, Lysa, because I hadn't actually considered that I could give my little girl everything she wants. That there's a little thing of, well, then she'd be spoiled. We have this sort of belief that give children what they want, they can be spoiled. So since our session, I've been like, what do you want, little girl? I'll give you everything. And she's so excited about this. It's like, yay! Like doing cartwheels and spinning, and she just wants to play. Yeah. And when I've given her that, it's just freedom and joy and play. So it's that what you just said, I've been playing with over the last few weeks, and it's really transformational.
It's powerful because you can feel there's no lack within you, Lara.
Yeah.
And as we create this internal sense of abundance and everything being in generous supply, it's so funny that you would be willing to give your little girl anything and she just wants to play. Do you know what I mean? I think if we're going to give her she's going to have the pony with the diamond ring with the trip to France and Italy on the side. And do you know what I mean? Not that any of that is bad if you're wanting it, but I think we conjure up these images that our children want, more than we can provide. And it's simply not true. That the needs that they genuinely want are the needs of our children, and they're human, they're fundamental, they're so worthy and deserving. We're such noble souls. We really only want what we really resonate with. And I love knowing that I believe what we truly desire is actually what's intended for us. So the Rumi quote, that what we seek is actually seeking us. So when we can get that pure place with our inner children, and really tap into what they're genuinely desiring and provide everything that they need, it is absolutely going to show up outside of us in financial abundance.
So awesome. And this is what I love about humans, because I offer these abundance activation breakthrough sessions. And in this session, I say, if I have a magic wand, you can ask for anything you want. We get really clear on how much money they want to bring in each month or each year. And I mean, you can have anything, absolutely anything. And every single person I speak to, they're not asking for diamonds and sports cars. Do you know what they're asking for? They're asking ultimately for freedom, for joy, for infinite possibilities. And we think that if we give meet all of our needs, or we give everything to someone, that they're going to become really greedy and become sort of somehow a bad person. And I'm amazed listening to these people. Really, they just want to be free and happy. And I think that's fundamentally what we want, isn't it?
It's what every child wants. You see children, they're like, look at me. And they just show us their magnificence. They show us how amazing they are. But for us as adults, sometimes our conditioning and our experiences, we just don't value that as the rare diamond that is. Just seeing children in their purity, in their truth, in the amazingness of simply being who they are. That's what I believe we're all returning to. And money can be a vehicle to actually give us permission to step back into that space for ourselves. So I just love how you're willing to show up and really talk on point and clearly about money, because everything is a mirror, everything is a reflection. But for us as powerful leaders to be able to talk so clearly about money, and for you to offer such powerful framework to support people to activate their own abundance, I go, we're just doing two sides of the same stuff, beauty.
Yeah, I love it. So what can we do, Lysa? Is there a takeaway that if we want to work on healing our mother wound, healing our father wound, you had a beautiful visualization of, you know, holding the baby as the father. Is there anything that we can do, or like how can we play with these tools? What can we do to help heal our mother and father wound?
So many things come to mind. I think what's most important is your own ability to perceive what you need. A lot of people don't want to look at that because we don't, you know, it's so funny. I love saying to myself, I'm needy. I am needy, I am needy, I am needy. Because in my work, working with people in emotional volatility, it's the part of themselves that they reject and despise the most. Because we all know the feeling of being in a position where we deeply require something and we have a fear that that won't be fulfilled. So what we learn to do is pretend that it's not actually there and that we don't need it. And I see adults actually in the position of denying what they know that they need for fear that it won't be in generous supply. So trust yourself to be able to recognize what you know that you need. If you want an easy prompt, really think about what are you secretly complaining to yourself that your partner isn't giving you. Give yourself permission to really go there, get front and center with yourself. What do you secretly complain that they're not giving to you? And I promise you that will be a powerful need that if you can be generous and submissive and work in concert with the heavens enough to find a way to generously supply that with yourself, within 7 days, you will see a manifesting miracle to confirm that that is, you are worthy of that, you are deserving of that, it is in generous supply, and it will come to you, and it has come to you.
That's so cool. So, for example, one of my core wounds was feeling like I wasn't seen, and I was waiting for given permission to be me, essentially, and I couldn't find it. So then one of my practices would be to start seeing me and giving permission to little me to just be here. Would that be an example of that I could like just giving her permission to be and seeing her and loving her and acknowledging her?
I think this is a great example because that's exactly what you're doing. Like you're seeing her, but there's so many different angles. By you just showing up and having this powerful conversation with me and allowing ourselves to be seen right now and share this with others, you're actually allowing yourself to be seen. The other way is to be able to be with yourself and watch yourself.
Watch yourself.
Watch yourself. Like have 30 minutes where you just sit in that observer position and just lovingly gaze upon everything that you're thinking and feeling and doing in a loving, wise position, like you were the most wise, generous, loving parents that there were, and you're just looking in on yourself. One other way is to journal and to be able to write down, Lara, I see you, and allow yourself to tell the truth. I see your magnificence. I see your beauty. I see your worthiness. I see your richness. I see your inner queen. And really let yourself verbalize what you can see. How did it feel for you to hear those words, sweetheart?
Amazing. I mean, my eyes are welling up with tears.
And so that's cool because if there's someone that you trust and that you can do this with, that was me seeing you. I'm telling you what I see in you. So I want people to hear this because I don't like to ever think that there's only one way to hit something, because we need to really honor the truth of who we are and the angle that it's going to reach us in. So out of all those, what feels like it's the most powerful way for it to reach you, Lara? Like I'm curious, and I think it would be nice for people to hear, how would it reach you the fastest and the easiest and the most powerfully?
Well, what I play with is the one where I like just talk to her, and I'll sit in kind of meditation and close my eyes and I'll feel her, and wow, tell me how you're feeling. What are you feeling? And then I'll tell her, talk to her, and kind of as you would a little kid who's, feeling upset or whatever, you would talk to them and reassure them and tell them how amazing they are and stuff. So I go and say, you have permission to be here. You're lovable. You're good enough. And I'll talk to her. And that really calms my inner child down. That's how I do it at the moment. And I really go into the feeling, and get her to share how she's feeling. And then just keep giving her permission to be, that it's safe and okay, which I guess is more the father, the divine father. I love also calling on the divine mother and father energies. That really works for me as well. And that feels like I get to receive that. So the first one is me giving to my inner child. And for me, the divine mother and father energies is about kind of me receiving that. And that really calms all down as well for me.
Oh, I adore you. I love hearing what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's so nice for people to hear our personal practice, because we have so many judgments around ourselves and why we need to do this work. And it's everyone on the planet is doing this work in their own way. Some are doing it more consciously than others. But I just love giving myself permission to give myself what I need, no matter how it looks and no matter how it sounds to other people.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that, because as you give yourself permission to receive, you give all of us permission to receive for ourselves, and it's so gorgeous. And I just think it's so important that we reframe this idea of having our needs met as somehow a bad thing, that we're going to be kind of spoiled or divas or unkind or something so strange, this programming, rather than when you meet, because I see the more you meet your needs, the more you're able to serve, and the more love you can share, and the more of your greatness you can share. That's what I see when I observe you taking care of your needs. So there's nothing wrong about that, is there? That's pretty awesome.
And it's so true. I just honestly think it's behavior that has not been modeled for very many of us. And so what we don't understand, we fear, and we conjure up illusions that it's wrong and it's evil and it's bad. But stepping into the purity of the practice is self-evidential. And it's changed the way that I show up with my children. Because when I saw my little girl, who's just turned 3, acting really needy and demanding, and I started to judge that, it was a reflection of my own judgment, of my own neediness and my own demandingness. I stopped what I was freaking doing, sat down, and I was just with her. She didn't need me to say anything or do anything. Just gave her my presence and my devotion. And her behavior changed straight away. And so it's only by acting on this that you can actually gain that experience to confirm that you're not going to turn into an egotistical, arrogant, narcissistic, pig-headed ruler. It's not actually true. You actually get more generous and more compassionate and more accepting, because what we bring inside of us, we can extend outside of us.
Yes, absolutely. And, the reflection of that is welcoming more financial abundance, isn't it? It's like that can then just flow in, because you allow it to receive it. It doesn't need to be big drama anymore.
No.
So beautiful. And I just wanted to share that I've had similar triggers. I have 2 daughters, and my eldest as well was someone who, it used to trigger my stuff, because she would really demand love and hugs and cuddles. And that's a part of me that I really, I sort of neglected the part of me that was needy. I judged that as the worst thing. And I manifested a daughter that basically had totally the opposite of everything that I had. And I thought, wow, she's in open arms, just ready for love, and really willing to receive it and wanting to receive it. And she's really shown me that all she needs from me is just my presence, like you said, your daughter, just to show up in love, not have to do any kind of weird shutdown. And she demands it. My daughter demands to be loved and honored and seen. And it's so beautiful, because she's shown me where I haven't been willing to do that for myself. So I think our children are such amazing mirrors. Well, everyone's an amazing mirror, but especially when you have you're a woman who has a daughter as well. Yes. So she's been an incredible teacher. And my daughter will go around saying, "I'm amazing."
We could take a leaf out of her book.
Yeah. I think, oh my God, that's amazing. You feel amazing, but you're not allowed to feel amazing, in this world. And I thought, I've spent thousands of pounds to feel good about myself, and she just feels good about herself. and I'm like, this is incredible. But what was so interesting for me was that even me, that helps people with this stuff, was thinking, but you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to go, "I'm amazing." That's considered egotistical and arrogant. And I've been watching this going, wow, how crazy all this program we've got going on that might stop us from really feeling wonderful, having our needs met, shining in the world, being that wealthy, abundant woman where are we kind of shrinking ourselves or holding ourselves back in fear that we're judged or whatever.
Yeah. And someone tells us that we can't be as amazing as we think we are.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Lysa. It's been so amazing to talk to you about this, because this is deep, deep stuff, isn't it? We're just kind of scratching the surface here. But we hope that you've got something to kind of sit with and play with in terms of looking at your mother and father wounding to help you manifest all the beautiful things that your heart and soul is just waiting for, that you're born to experience and to receive. And that's what we both want for you, is that you reconnect to the truth of who you are and shine in the world and enjoy your life fully. So beautiful, Lysa. I'm going to put a link to your book below. What is your website? How do people contact you or find out more about you if they would love some
Yes,
heart?
you can look me up heartmagic.co.nz, and you can find me on Facebook, Lysa Black, that's Lysa. And I just wanted to show everyone my new book, Divine Purpose. And what I really love about this book is that the first 2 chapters, one is on healing the mother wound, and the second chapter is healing the father wound. And this book is comprised of real life stories of people who have really healed this, and it shares the personal details of where they were and then where they got to after healing it. And I just really love that, receiving permission to write these stories. Nobody in these people's lives know that this stuff happened. This is, the parents didn't know, the children didn't know. I was privileged to access this sacred information, and what it does is it really helps us to see ourselves. There's 12 different stories, 12 different people who have been through loss and who have allowed healing into their world. And what it does, I believe, is that it unites us. Is that when I do all of this emotional healing work, what I see and what I know is that we all deeply have the exact same emotional needs. And we don't want anyone to know. We like to keep it a secret. I'm really needy, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to pretend. I'm not going to say that, because then you won't like me. And if you actually knew who I really was, then you would judge me for that. So I'm going to pretend that I'm like this. Am I doing it right? No. And there's so much work that we go into, but the truth is that we are all needy. We are all deserving of the love that we desire. And I really believe that we can all be intuitively led to heal and step into our power and reclaim our divinity.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you, Lysa. What a great honor to spend this time with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us.
Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you, Lara.